Is the Monday morning live stream at the Thrive Like a Viking headquarters. Zone 5/6. I don't know why that's relevant here, but just letting you know. Guys, let's do the sound check real quick. All right. Cloudy day. What did we say? What did we say? We got to make sure the sound's working. All right, guys, let us know where you at. How is your practices going? The breath work, the cold training, the sauna therapy, the all the number of different practices that we do. Let us know. Claire, good morning. Jerry Bates says, hey, hope you're improving what matters most. But that is elusive for me as I'm constantly putting out fires and starting new ones. Constantly putting out fires and starting new ones. That is a common theme, my friend. So let us discuss that a little bit later after the meditation. All right, guys. What's up? Val says, good morning, Nate and Tribe. Happy to be here on this beautiful sunny day in northern Arizona. Lots of love. Yes. So, Ginia McDonald, cloudy day with storms moving in here in Southwest Virginia. Yes, cloudy day here as well, which I do like. We got a lot of stuff planted in the garden because we have to take advantage of this overcast and cool weather, don't we? So, Jody K, good morning, my friend. Kathy Tittle, good morning. Trish, good to see you here. Teresa, all right. So, guys, we will just drop right into the meditation, yes? Because after that, I want to discuss a thing that I'm experiencing right now a little bit, and we can unpack that just a bit. And I will use some of my recent experience as an example, all right? So let us just drop into the meditative state of mind. I know we didn't have one last week, but that's okay. We can make up for it now, today. Hello, good to see you, Freebird. Good to see you, Vera. So let us just take a few deep conscious breaths together, breathing fully in. Hold and let it go. Again, breathing fully in. Hold. And let it go. Last one. Fill the lungs. Hold. And let it go. Now allow the body to breathe however it wants to breathe. Make sure the spine is straight. The body is alert but relaxed. And just settle into the rhythm of the breathing. Whatever is happening in your life right now, just set it aside for these few minutes during the meditation. There's no need to breathe in any particular way. You just allow the body to sustain perfectly your life. It knows exactly what to do. Just allow this to happen. Become aware of the subtle sensation of air as it flows past your nostrils and into the body, out of the body, flowing in and out. If thoughts or images come into the mind, you don't pay them any attention. You just briefly observe them and then let it go without becoming engaged. Just observe as they float through the mind. Many of you that have been practicing, you can easily maintain focus on the breathing while simultaneously becoming aware of the inner energy field of the body. Now, what does this feel like, the inner energy field? While keeping your eyes closed and without moving them, how do you know for sure that you have hands and arms? You can go there with your mind. You can feel that they are there. You can feel the life in your hands. Without looking at them or moving them, how do you know your legs are there? You feel the aliveness. As you become more in tune and sensitive to the way that energy flows in the body, you will be able to feel this energy field pulsating throughout every inch of your body. The mind will become calm and still. The body is relaxed but alert. You are resting in presence, resting in the feeling of life as it pulses through the body. This sense of presence, alertness, it carries with it qualities of satisfaction and contentment and joy and compassion. These are all inherent in the true nature of reality. If other thoughts or images come into the mind, or a advertisement pops up, or a sound in the environment, in the beginning it appears like it brings you out of the meditation, like it stops the meditation, but nothing actually stops. The thought that comes into the mind, or the judgment, or the frustration that comes from the advertisement, or whatever it is, you just observe, and you will see that nothing is broken. It is always now, you are always here, whether you're aware of it or not. Nothing can pull you out of the now. It only appears that way. You just rest in the now, rest in the presence, observe what is happening in the mind, watching all of it as it unfolds. Feel the breathing. Feel the body as the chest rises and falls. Feel the gravity holding you to the earth. Feel the heart beating. Feel the sense of aliveness that is running through your veins. Stay present. If during the times of the meditation when there is absolute silence, notice the happenings of the mind. Is the mind waiting for the next word? Is it waiting for the next piece of stimuli? Just observe the nature of the mind. Does it become restless when there's absolute silence? Or does it take rest in silence? Together, let us take a few deep conscious breaths, breathing fully in. Hold. Let it go. Again, breathing fully in. Hold. Let it go. Last one. Fill the lungs. Hold. Hold. Let it go. This type of meditation is the only type you need, in my opinion and experience, because it uses nothing, which is the most resilient form of meditation. We don't need a candle, we don't need a mantra, we don't need an image of a guru, we don't need a certain location. It's not dependent on anything. You don't want your practice to be dependent on anything. Anytime, any place, you drop in. The breathing is always with you. But you will see, and many of you have already seen, that even the breathing you let go of eventually. Even the breathing. And you reside perfectly in a peaceful state of reprieve, a state of peace and equanimity and serenity and contentment, and naturally joy and happiness arise from this state. And the more you cultivate this, the more you see that it is your natural state. And by natural state, I mean it's always there. It cannot be removed from what you are. It can only be clouded by habitual thought patterns, by chemicals. It can only become clouded, but it's always there. The state of peace and serenity that is your birthright, and joy and happiness, it's all one, it's all the same. So you will notice things in your life from this practice alone, especially if you combine with the other more intense practices such as the cold training, the breath work, the sauna therapy, and more. One thing you will notice is how fluid your perceptions become, how you can fluidly and fluently adopt or entertain other viewpoints. This is an often overlooked virtue and skill. Being able to see another's viewpoint and really feel it and at least entertain it in your mind. People that become rigid in their viewpoints and their perspectives, they stagnate. And especially as we become older, we become more rigid, typically, in all ways. The body becomes more rigid. The mental state often becomes more rigid unless it is cultivated. And when we look to nature, we can see when things are young and full of life, they are supple. They bend and they flow. But as things age and they get old and they die, they become stiff and rigid. They don't bend, they break. It's the same with the energy that flows through our conscious awareness. We must remain supple, pliable, flowing like water. And these practices cultivate exactly that. Okay, my friends. So with all that being said, the title of this discussion is, feeling overwhelmed. Okay? Now, this is relevant to me right now because it is go time for my profession, what has become my profession. And that is growing, gardening. I mean, gardening sounds kind of weak, but it's actually, I'm a grower first and foremost. From Northern California. That's where it really got, a grower is a particular type of profession. But I'm also now professional social media person, which I never wanted to be that, but it just so happens that that's the tool of this trade. This spiritual stuff as well, because the gardening thing is growing, all of that is growing, but this spiritual thing will also grow in its own time as well. So these are tools. But so at the moment, there is so much going on that, everything has to get planted. And I'm illustrating this point using my own life. But how many of you can relate to this? I know so many of you can. I know Jerry can. There's so many things that need done right now. I've several different garden projects that all need planted like now. Like last week and in the next couple of weeks. So you have to do all these things every day. You have to have all this stuff. And there's so many things that the list will not end. It just perpetuates like that. Okay, but then on top of all of that, you have to film it all. You have to be making social media content about it all. Because if you're not, with the social media game, if you're not posting all the time, you're falling behind. You're falling behind. So it's like a nonstop treading of water. It can feel that way. So not only do you have all these things that you got to do, but you got to record it all. And then you've got to become creative with it. You've got to create something out of nothing. You've got to create videos and things that are engaging and all of this. You got to try and get into the mind of the algorithm and say, okay, what can I do that's engaging and all this stuff. And it's, and then on top of all of that, you got to try to actually like make money at it all and to finance your bigger goals. So you have to like do the fertilizer thing from my other channel. So all of that requires stuff. So, I had to get my FedEx account and, that account got closed because I didn't respond to their text. I didn't fill out this form. And so they closed the whole account. So then you got to get on the phone for 2 hours and talk to the computer and blah, blah, blah. And that takes all day, when you need to be planting and you need to be recording stuff and you need to be making content, and all of that. And so there can be a sense of overwhelmed. There can be so what can I do? What can I do? And in the old life, before the real awakening happened, I would be overwhelmed. I would feel overwhelmed. But now, it's completely different. There is all these things, but you can just choose. I'm just observing. You can just observe the things. It's all still happening. It's all still getting done. And things are still moving and flowing, but there's not the one there who is doing it all. Now, if that doesn't make sense yet, it will at some point. But there's not the one who is there doing it. There's not the weight of all of that. What's up, Jesse? Koku Divers. What's up, my friend? You still in Thailand, huh? Still doing the thing. So Claire says, yes, I can relate. So many things need to be planted now and suddenly hobbled with sciatica and forced to rest, and see the acupuncturist. So yes, Nate. Yes, definitely. And then a physical thing can happen. So now, how many of you can relate to what I was just saying? Now, that's the things that are happening to me at the moment, but we've all got these kind of things. Aaron Johnson says, I'm feeling so overwhelmed right now as well. Moving to my first homestead that I own and have to do it so fast due to current landlord. Plus, I have to plant my new garden from scratch. Yes, that's a lot. There is a lot that needs done. But fortunately, that's an amazing time. Fresh on a new homestead is an amazing time. What's up, Graham? Good to see you, my friends. It's been a busy day. So, yes, now there's so many things that need done. And so what do? Do we, now the old me would sacrifice my center. I didn't really have a center at that time. Only now do I know that. But the old me would sacrifice the center. It would, it would maybe take things to stimulate my energy, and then I would do certain practices that would be very unhealthy, but it didn't matter because you could sacrifice everything to get the job done, to get it all done. But the new me, which is not the new me, is would never sacrifice my center in any way whatsoever for anything. So that is the biggest difference. So even all that stuff still needs done, and it will get done. And what doesn't get done, doesn't get done. But I will always still continue to do the practices. I will still continue to do the breath work every morning. I still do my kettlebell training. I still do the cold training, the sauna therapy. I still do all of these things. And I still take plenty of time throughout the day to drop in and to experience and to feel and to the inner energy field. All of these practices is absolutely paramount, because if I lose center, then all of that other stuff doesn't matter anymore. And so this is the biggest difference, is that now I know what is important. And what is important is maintaining the peace and the serenity within. And when I say peace like this, I don't mean peace like, hey, peace, man, just sit and do nothing and let everything happen to you. That's not the kind of peace I'm talking about. The kind of peace that I'm talking about is actually can be fierce. It can be powerful. It's a source of power. This peace, it's a non-conflict within oneself. There's outward manifestations of peace, but the peace I'm talking about is the peace with one's self. There's not the battle in the mind anymore. The battle of, oh, I should be doing this, it's not getting done, or oh, now this is happening to me, and all of this storyline that we're creating in our mind, that's no longer created because it's seen for what it is. It's a storyline. And so you're not adding to the pain body like Eckhart was talking about. So you're not adding to this anymore. You're flowing, you're adapting, you're seeing. Taylor Reindl, hello, my friend. So the Papa McMuffin says, I feel you. I'm at work delivering packages with 10 by 20 tray of soil block seedlings. I have to my friends and plant tonight. Yes, definitely. It's all, so many things are happening. Jesse Koku Diver says, my sciatica got fixed with the lots of ice. For good? Did you doing stretchings and stuff though? Because that's really important. That's really important. Trish says, welcome to the life of a mother, like seriously and literally. I believe you. I believe you. So the Cole Besaw says, my first time tuning in from the gardening channel. Good timing because I'm feeling what you're talking about when it comes to the garden and having so many things to do. Yes. Okay. So what we're going to do is we are going to use our state of relaxed awareness from the practices, and we're going to say, okay, what needs to be done? What needs to be done? More than any other thing, this is important. If for all of you, for people doing anything, being able to discern what is important and what is not so important is a huge skill, and it needs developed for most people. Some people just innately have that, but I didn't, definitely. And so when I look back at my time on the mountains, when I was living in the mountains for those years, fully off grid, in Northern California, doing all kinds of stuff. I had floundered around and wasted so much energy. Now there's an infinite amount of spiritual energy. It's unlimited. But physical energy in this realm is limited. You can do things to increase it, of course, and we do that, but it is limited. And so, what you can do as a one person is limited. And so the biggest skill is to be able to discern what's important and what's not, what needs to be done and what doesn't need to be done. Now, for example, in the garden, we're just using the gardens as an example. Now, in the previous life, I would get it in my mind that this pathway has to be made of stone, and I want the stone to look like this. Now it has to be okay, but this pathway has to look like this, okay? And so I would spend hours or all day or even several days, making this stone thing. I would go to the store and get, and get the exact products that I needed, and really, because I want to do it right. Okay. And because I'm thinking, hey, if you're going to do it, you want to do it right. And so you put all this energy and effort into it. And in the big picture, it doesn't mean anything. The plants didn't get planted. The plants don't know any difference whatsoever if that pathway is perfectly square or level or mulched or stoned. The plants don't know any difference. So I had to assess my goal. My goal was to grow plants to the highest of their genetic capability. Now, the stone path and making it look super nice, that was not achieving the goal. That was stroking my own ego so that when people saw that, they would go, wow, look at this guy. He's really got his stuff together. Wow, that's beautiful. That's incredible. I had to get real with myself and realize that that was my ego at that time. I was still living from the ego, and so I didn't recognize any of this stuff. It's only after the awakening that I saw all of this with crystal clarity. But it was the ego in myself saying that, no, it's important that that stone pathway looks exactly like that, because when people see that, that's going to reflect on me. And I didn't know my worth at the time. I didn't know who I was. And so I needed external signifiers like that. I needed people to say, wow, that looks cool. Wow, good job. Because that made me feel greater than. It made me feel more. All of that is indicative of someone still living from the ego. Because once you realize the true wholeness within, it doesn't matter whatsoever. It doesn't matter what anyone says, positive or negative. It doesn't matter. Because you're already whole. You've already realized perfection. And so it just doesn't matter. Once the ego gets out of the way, it doesn't need stroked. It doesn't need built up because it can't be crashed down like the ego can. So your true self is perfectly secure. Perfectly secure. So I had to look at these things and I had to say, ooh, D&T, $5. Thank you for the tip, my friend. Appreciate that. And so I had to say, okay, using this example, now, and there was so many things like that I did that just didn't matter to the goal. The goal was growing the plants to the highest of their genetic capability. Now, spending thousands or hundreds or thousands of dollars and hours on this stone pathways to look a certain way did absolutely nothing to get me closer to the goal. Yet, it stroked my ego and it spent a lot of time and it made a lot of money, or I spent a lot of money. But now where is it? Now where is it? It's in the ruins, in the mountains with everything else, and it means nothing. It's totally insignificant. The only way that it's significant is the lessons I learned from doing countless things like that. Once the whole thing came crashing down, all the things that I put so much energy into, poof, where are they now? They mean nothing. I can never go back there. And so it's just crazy. Now, if my goal was to make an aesthetically pleasing rock garden with perfect pathways, then that's what I would do. And I wouldn't focus on growing the plants. You see, we have to discern what is the goal. Okay, what's my goal here? Is my goal to using maybe like for Jerry or something, is my goal to be an antique tractor collector? Is my goal to farm with antique tractors that I've repaired myself? Is that the goal? Or is the goal to raise the greatest couple hundred head of cattle in the organic way as possible? Is that the goal? So if that's the goal, then all these old tractors that I've been saving up and all this old broken down old antique stuff that I'm a little bit obsessed with isn't getting me any closer to the goal. Do you understand? There's so many things. VA Green, that is a good one. Okay. Okay, he says, it's all part of what brought you here. Yes, absolutely. It is all part of what brought me here, definitely. And that's why we're having this conversation. And that's why I wouldn't trade any of it. But this is what I learned. And so this is what I do now. And so this is why things are actually happening in my life. Blue Wolf says, it sounds like you rocked that garden. Oh, I did, no doubt. But okay, VA Green says, feel a lot better now about a messy greenhouse. Yes, things like that. To a degree, okay? It needs to be, the external environment is a reflection of the internal environment. So when you see people, and I don't know about you, I'm just saying as an example, when you see like hoarder type stuff, and you just see trash and piles of stuff all over the place, super mega cluttered so that you can't even see what's going on, that is indicative that the person is living in a very severe scarcity mindset. They have a worldview, a perception of the world that there's not enough, that they are not enough. That's where it stems from. The ego, it's a pure ego, of course. And the ego says, I am not enough. I need more. I need more. And so it collects things. Oh, I might need that sometime. So there's stuff everywhere. And that's how scattered and cluttered their internal landscape is. Yes? So we can realize all of these things, and there's a balance. There's a balance between having the hoarder greenhouse with tons of stuff all over the place and trash and oh my goodness, you can hardly see where's the plants and everything, and then having the totally orthogonal, perfectly measured out. Everything is perfectly measured out exactly and clean and no weeds anywhere. Rocks, but all of that stuff. That's also unnecessary. That's also completely unnecessary. All right. So it's the balance of finding out, okay, what's the goal? The goal, if it is to grow, in this example, the goal is to grow the highest quality plants possible so that I can then ingest them and then become the highest quality version of myself, because you are what you eat, and you are what you eat eats. And so the goal is to grow the most nutrient-rich produce possible, the highest quality possible. So if that's the goal, you have to discern that within yourself. Once that's decided on, then, okay, is having a perfectly clean, orthogonal greenhouse, is that really advancing to the goal? To a degree. It's having a trashy hoarder one where I can't even find anything. That's also not leading us to the goal. So it's a balance. Okay, some things can just, what's important? Okay, that I put away the hose every time. Is it really important that I spend the time to reel back up the hose every time that I use it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And see people, well, I just don't like it being out. Well, okay. But if you're using it all the time, these kind of things. So I have found that, man, once you can discern what's important, what the goal is, and then discern what is important, what is referencing what will achieve that goal for you. This is when we start making progress, and this is when we start being able to live from that state of peace and contentment within ourselves. Yes, and it's also becoming okay with letting some things not be done. Remember, once we go past the ego mind, then we can see all of this. But before that, we can't, because we're operating from the program, which is the ego. So Jerry says, my friend told me years ago, you have to learn to walk past the work. Just now getting the hang of that idea with the practices. Yes, walk past the work. And to do what needs done the most. Here's kind of what I do. Oh, it's definitely what I do. Is I say, okay, there's all these things that need done, but what needs done the most? What's the most pressing of the things? And then do that. Are the plants going to die if I don't do this? Then, okay, do that. Am I going to lose the house if I don't do this? Then, okay, do that. So those kind of things. Order of importance and the more that you do it, the easier and faster it becomes. You just make, okay, here's all the things. If you have like a big whiteboard or a command center, then you can look at all the things that need done and say, okay, what's the most pressing of those things? That's what I will focus on. And like that, things just keep getting done and the system keeps maintaining. So, Freebird says, I relate. I have so many lists. I get so much joy checking off things I've done. Learning to live in the moment gives me peace. No loud chatter in my mind. Definitely no chatter in the mind. Guys, lists are a really wonderful thing. Definitely. I've got all kinds of lists around and stuff, and it's nice because then once it is on a list, it can stop mulling around in the mind. Well, am I forgetting something? Am I forgetting it? You have to always remember it. Once it's on paper, then, okay, you can let go of it because it's on the paper. And so now you don't have to keep thinking, did I forget it? What do I got to remember? That's right, Miss T. Done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect. That's right, Val. Yes, that is true. With almost all things, except for, like I said, brain surgery. Something like that it has to be perfect. But most things, definitely better to just get them completed, checked off the mind, and you will learn from there. Here is another, here's another thing, another example that you can then relate to your own life in some way. That recently I have learned that I need to diversify the income sources if we are going to achieve the goal. Okay, so the goal is getting the land and getting the school started. Yes, to teach all of the gardening stuff, also to have this kind of stuff that we do on this channel. So that is the goal: the land, the homestead, the school. Now, you have to constantly sort of reevaluate, like, what's important, what's getting you to that goal. And so I've sort of recently come to realize that just making YouTube videos, and relying on what YouTube pays you, is not gonna do it. It's not gonna finance it unless you're a mega channel. Then it could, but it's not going to. So I've had to come to terms with that. And so, okay, I see that now. So I have to pivot a little bit and say, okay, well, there has to be some other. So what else? So how are we going to finance? How are we going to achieve the goal? And so I said, okay, fertilizer. I think something in my heart told me, yes, the fertilizer is going to fill a niche gap that could make some money for you. So give it a try. Say, okay, so then that's what I started doing. I just said, okay, we're going to go with it. So we're going to get several of the different things. We're going to mix them together, the recipe that I've been using for years, and we're going to start to ship some of them just to see how it all goes. Now, the old me in this endeavor, once I decided, okay, I'm going to start selling some fertilizers, just natural organic stuff for the people that don't want to mess with manures and all that. Okay, not a problem. Now, the old me would have said, okay, it's got to be perfect. Now, I got to have the exact labels for these buckets. I got to have the exact, I have to have the perfect logo so that I can put it on the buckets. And then I have to have the clear instructions. And then I started looking up stuff and like trying to put a guaranteed analysis. You got to send it off to a lab and all that stuff. And it was like, whoa. So if I had it in my mind that all of that had to happen before I could even begin doing it, I just would never do it. It would never come to fruition. So instead, what I did was just ordered pallets of the material, got a cement mixer. Me and my dad spent the couple days mixing it all up in a cement mixer and pouring it into the buckets, and just pounded the lid on the buckets and shipped them like that. There's no, because I didn't have time to create the logo and the labels and the guaranteed analysis and all that. If I had to wait for all that, it would have never happened. And so now instead, I've got, a bunch of these buckets now out in the world, and people are using them, and I'm learning all about the shipment, what it takes to create a FedEx business account. I had to do all that stuff. You see, and you learn as you go. You learn as you go. And that's the thing, without being like, having a death grip on it. I just understand there's going to be ups and downs, trials, tribulations, all that kind of stuff. But I just see it already. I see it. The visioneering, it's like visioneering, except at this level, it's just essentially seeing what has already happened. Because time, there is only now. And so it already exists. And so I'm seeing this, and it's just the obvious way. So that's one example of how you just start doing it, and you will learn along the way. And maybe it doesn't work out in some way, but also you won't know that until you go. I used to be paralyzed by that kind of stuff. Well, what if it doesn't work out? What if I waste, $5,000 worth of supplies and all of this? What if this happens, or what if I get shut down by this or that? You can't think about none of that. You just got to do it. You just start doing it, and you will learn as you go along, and it feels great. And so now I know so much more already after just the first season of doing this. Rod Jr. says, Nate, have you checked into a bagged box of granular for cheaper shipping? Yes, I did check into that a little bit, but with the weight, it needs to have a handle. And I really feel like see, this is all part of it as well. I feel like having the green bucket, once the stickers get printed, that is also great advertising. And people can use the bucket afterwards. And it's a great shit. It's so easy to move those things with that lid hammered on there. Because I was putting it in because I have to ship each one of them. So I take them into the FedEx place and see, you have to learn all this. But it was so intimidating before. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to ship all of these and stuff. But you just do it and you learn. And so just a couple weeks ago, I started doing it for the first time, created the FedEx account, took the buckets in there, and I was wheeling them in there, and one of the buckets fell off like several feet, boom, onto the ground. Now, if I didn't have these rock solid lids on there, that would have burst all over the place because they're 40 pounds, 42 pounds. So they are, yes. Sam Potzik says the buckets are less likely to get broken open. Definitely. The plastic bag in the box, and the driver would have to be like a world's strongest man, stone carrier. He'd have to lift it up like this and like carry it, boom, and drop it down. So instead, there's just the handle on the bucket. Yes? Freebird, thank you very much, my friend. $40 from CashApp. Says, for learning from you has blessed my life. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate you. Yes. That makes me smile. Thanks, Freebird. So, let's see here. Now, Adriana says, an angel came to me in my dream and told me to concentrate only on certain information and leave the rest. That's how I would stop feeling overwhelmed. Absolutely, this is correct. You remember the saying that was attributed now to Bruce Lee, where he says, my method is simple. Absorb what is useful and discard the rest, or disregard the rest. Absorb what is useful and discard the rest. That's the key. Absorb what is useful and discard the rest. Even things like this talk, right? Like when we talk here, these are the kind of videos that I like to listen to. Ones when I'm cleaning or when I'm gardening or when I'm driving, really. I'll put something like this on, just a flow, like a podcast, and then not everything is going to be relevant to me, and sometimes it gets off topic, but I will absorb what is useful. I will absorb what is useful. There's certain things that will trigger certain thoughts, connect certain dots in my mind based upon my life at that time. And I will gain something from that. Okay, great. Yes? So that is how I like to do it. So Sam Potzik says, but shipping prices are astronomical. Guys, you ain't kidding. To ship one of these buckets to the West Coast is $87, and that's as cheap as it gets. That without doing massive quantity. Yeah, it's insane. So yeah. So the let's see here. What are you guys talking about? Sam Potzik says, still looking for those buckets at work. Which ones? Did I send some to you? Pretty much all you guys should have got your buckets by now, yeah? VA Green. Oh, hi, Nancy. Good to see you here, my friend. Ms. T says, I don't even think that brain surgery would be perfect. That's probably true. I say that, but not even brain surgery probably is perfect. Jerry Bates says, the whiteboard is key. Can't underestimate the power of course setting. Learned it from last summer. Others can see and help with the focus. Absolutely, guys. And I've got one right here, a big whiteboard right here that, let's see if we can you see there? That is part of the command center. Now, it's Monday, so everything, a lot of things got erased, but I have everything that needs done is on there. And so it gets off every time I'm sitting here working or something, I'll think of it, boom, I'll get up, I'll put it on the command center. And now at this place, it's just me, pretty much. But where I developed this technique in the mountains, I was in charge of 5 greenhouses and a crew of people. And so everything that needed done was up there. And so I was like, when someone would come to me and say, "Hey, I told you I wanted to blah, blah, blah. Is it on the command center?" No. Okay. Well, then put it on there, you know. And then if I needed things, you just get in the habit of every day come in, look at the command center, and everything that needs done is laid out there. That is so crucial. Getting it written down is so crucial because now I can look, oh, that's right. Today I need to order that plastic sheeting so that I can make that one video. That's right. Okay, I'm glad that I had that there. And then, yes. So you can just look and you can see what needs done. Super important. All of these things that you see around, these are ideas. This is the book, story for the gardening book, the storyboard, you know, things like this. So it's very important. I can't underestimate how important that is. So VA Green says, I think you could really do well expanding on your seminar like you had in Tennessee. Maybe a whole weekend thing. So many people are hungry for the knowledge you have. Yes, thank you, my friend. And VA Green, I got to meet in person. That was cool. Very cool. I was giving a talk at the Crabtree Farms. Nancy was there, and about J. Dom and various other things. And this guy sitting in the back the whole time, he's nodding along, and I'll ask questions, and he's got the knowledge and stuff. And I could tell he was from the channel, obviously. But then, you know, at the very end, he was like, "Oh, I'm VA Green." I was like, "Oh, okay." You know, it's such a unique dynamic because you guys know me quite intimately, actually. I mean, more than most people in my life actually know me. You know, but yeah, I don't know your face. So it's so unique. But yes, I definitely plan. I see a lot of that kind of stuff in the future. And that's what the school is going to be about. I mean, people will come from all over for intensive things at the school. We'll have summer-long programs. We'll have week-long programs. We'll have weekend programs. All that kind of stuff will be there. And there is just going to be fantastic. So, it's, yes, thank you. And I think that, yes, we will be doing that, definitely. Yes, DNT says, really needed this message this morning. Got caught up in a stressful thought chain. Definitely, if we're in a stressful thought chain, we must break the chain to begin with. And that we do by becoming present. We use the techniques, the meditation, or if you really need it, take an ice bath. Take an ice bath. And that will break it. Whew. And then you can reset. When you get out, do the breathing exercise or a kettlebell workout. Move the body. When the body moves, the brain grooves. You remember that. And so, yes, that's... Muddy Paws says, I make the list, never more than 5. Then, order of operations according to live or die, level of importance. Learning to put self-care first on every list. This is exactly what we're saying right here. Because without self-care, and Trish, I'm talking to the moms as well, big time, without self-care, everything else suffers. Everything else suffers. So it might seem selfish in a way at first, but the effect of it is so much greater. So having someone that is centered and at peace and content and calm in the mind, that doesn't have a bunch of chaotic, egoic stuff happening in the mind, can anything that they're involved with runs smoother than someone who's all caught up in the ego mind and chaos. Then it's chaos. It's chaos. And I have seen this so many times traveling. So many times. You remember I traveled for 10 years. And so I saw this so many times that when the mother of the household is at peace, the family is at peace, more or less. When the mother of the household is like chaotic, and then the house tends to be really chaotic. So it's super important. So Claire says, I work with surgeons. It's sloppier than you think. Wow. Oh, wow. Um, Sam says, "Oh, I work at FedEx." Oh, okay, I got you now. Yes, got it. Brian says, "I could have never learned this before I got sick. Thanks for showing the path, my Viking friend." Thank you for being here, my friend. Definitely, that's what it's about. And I could have never learned any of this had I not got brought to my knees back in the mountains, essentially by addiction. So I would have never learned this stuff. If it all hadn't come crashing down and I lost everything, I wouldn't have learned any of this, or maybe eventually, but it was such a concentrated source of experience. I learned so much in a relatively short, condensed time because of how intense everything was. So, VA Green says, "I was probably a little overzealous, but I was having a great time at the seminar." No, no such thing as overzealous. You know how we are about the energy. We bring the energy, and I love that. I'm all about it. So, yes, Adriana says, "Addiction destroyed my life. I'm so scared of reviewing my past." Yes. Oh, I understand this. I understand this completely. Yes, but there comes a time when the transformation, if you go deep enough, the transformation is complete. The transformation is whole enough that there's no possibility of ever going back, because the person that was addicted, that had these behavior patterns and thought patterns, is no longer alive. It's no longer a reality. You have to let that person completely die. And you have to be born again into the new experience of life. And then there is absolutely zero chance. I'm 100% positive of this. I'm experiencing this for some years now. There's no chance. And you can look back at things. And when I think of the past like that, especially the rough years, sorry. Sorry. When I think of the past, especially the rough years, I look back on it and it's like I remember what happened, of course, but I don't feel it anymore. I don't feel that sense of misery and dread and just impending doom and regret and remorse. I don't feel any of that anymore. Now it's like looking at a movie about somebody else's life. That's what it's like. And so now the new me is absolutely repulsed by any kind of intoxicant use whatsoever. I have no need whatsoever for the slightest type of intoxicant whatsoever, because how could I possibly ever want to jeopardize the clarity and the peace and the satisfaction that I feel? It just literally, this person now is repulsed by even the thought of consuming any kind of intoxicant. It's mind blowing. It's really mind blowing. Someone said, "I like the Papa McMuffin Express idea." What is that? Papa McMuffin Express idea? I can't find it. But anyways, yeah, that's what I am. So Nancy says, "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." Absolutely. You are reborn every moment. Every moment you are reborn in this life. Reincarnate. We don't wait for some next life. There's this life, and you are reborn every moment. And so into the new incarnation of yourself. Oh yeah, VA Green says, "Pain can be a very convincing teacher." Absolutely. Absolutely. For a lot of people, most people, it doesn't have to get to that point of okay, I would just rather be dead, than experience another day, another moment of this life. Uh, you know, for most people, fortunately, it doesn't have to get to that level, but for some of us, it does. And that's when the most profound split, the most profound shift happens at that time. So, okay, guys. Oh, yeah, Papa. Okay, he says, have you looked into Amazon for distribution? Yeah, not yet. There's all kinds of parameters that you've got to do for Amazon. I'm not nearly there yet. I'll need to get like a small little facility, and then, so that I can store, hundreds of buckets and stuff like that. So the Vera Witch Lady says, don't judge your past with the knowledge you've acquired now. That's exactly right. And I always say this, how could the butterfly hate the caterpillar? How true is that? How could the butterfly hate the caterpillar for being earthbound? Because without the caterpillar and its chrysalis state and all of that, there would be no butterfly. So Pam says, you have to make the separation, not to identify with the past. So important to live in the present. I have become more observed about what thoughts that come to me. Thank you, Nate. Yes, definitely. The separation. It's all about what you identify with. And so many people, the vast majority are still identified with the ego. So long as the identification with the ego is there, then the separation isn't complete. It can't happen. Yeah. So yes, let me see. Did I get another? Okay. So yeah, remember that, guys. How could the butterfly hate the caterpillar? It can't happen. But also, the butterfly can never go back to being the caterpillar. The butterfly doesn't have to worry about being the earthbound caterpillar ever again, because it's transformed. And that's exactly the level of transformation that we're talking about here. And if you haven't experienced that yet, then just stay strong and maintain the course, do the practices, and you will experience it. If it is your destiny, there's no stopping it. Okay, guys, thank you very much for spending this time with me. Put in the comments if you have some suggestions for future topics that we could discuss, but this one just felt really relevant. So it was a great talk. Thank you guys very much for participating and everything, and we will see you next time. Infinite Spirit goes before me and opens the way. Infinite wisdom tells me what to do and what to say. Infinite Spirit goes before me and opens the way. Infinite wisdom tells me what to do and what to say. Infinite Spirit goes before me and opens the way. Infinite wisdom tells me what to do and what to say. Yes, yes.